Many of you have been asking me to provide a video on Vinfast, the Vietnamese electric car manufacturer who is now making cars in the US and in Europe. And they've actually officially released prices for their electric cars. Are they the real deal? Are they something you should consider? I have a very definitive answer on this. I'm going to give you that answer. I'm going to tell you what you should or shouldn't do, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. Great to see you here today. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for supporting the channel. Thank you to those of you who are Patreon supporters. What you do is incredibly important to the channel. So big shout out and thank you to you guys. Thank you to everyone else as well. Just subscribing and watching the videos is unreal. Now, Vinfast, well, a little story about them. First of all, they're a Vietnamese car manufacturer. A billionaire owner, I think he made most of his money in Vietnam. He actually decided, I'm going to make EVs in Australia. They bought up a former testing ground for General Motors, basically, in Australia. It was called Lang Lang. They bought it for, I don't know, many millions of dollars. They hired all these people here in Australia, started working on their EVs, and then they went, that wasn't a good idea. What are we doing? They fired all their employees, as far as I know. I knew a couple of them personally. And then they sold the property that they bought. To be honest, in my view, things were not looking good for the company based on the fact that they seem to be, well, flip-flopping, yo-yoing around. To be frank with you, after seeing the details on pricing and their battery menu, and I'm telling you now, it is a freaking menu. You need a PhD to understand this thing, seriously. Well, I think have to question what's going on. Now, the price, the initial purchase price looks extremely good on face value. So let's have a look at what's going on. Back in January on Vinfast's Global EV Day, their presentation day at CES 2022, Vietnamese automaker Vinfast introduced its entire lineup of upcoming EVs covering 5 different market segments. By vowing to go all electric by the end of 2022, Vinfast has already rebranded its 2 flagship EVs to remove the E for electric, creating one cohesive lineup that includes 3 new EVs that have now been introduced. We now know what they are. Now, Vinfast is actually an automotive manufacturing subsidiary of Vin Group, a Vietnamese conglomerate developing everything from real estate, technology, and even healthcare. Now, back in 2017, they began manufacturing internal combustion engines with the help of Pininfarina. Since then, Vinfast has focused on EVs, and they first showed their first 2 electric vehicles, the VF E34 and the VF E35, at the LA Auto Show in October of last year. At that time, they revealed their plan to enter the North American market and the European market in the first half of 2022. And we now actually know pricing for these cars. But before we get to that, you may want to know where they're made. Well, Vinfast actually is planning on opening a US headquarters in Los Angeles, and they want to manufacture these vehicles on US soil in 2024. Now, by the end of December 2021, Vinfast began delivering its first EVs to customers in Vietnam, which were the first ever EVs to be sold in Vietnam, which is good news. Now, Vinfast have actually announced 5 different models. They have a mini compact car, kind of like the BYD Dolphin. If you're not sure what that is, I'll put a link in the description below. Followed by a compact subcompact car and a VF7 subcompact and a VF7 compact. Now, the vehicles we talked about before, the VF E35 and the E36, have been called the VF8 and the VF9, and we now know what the prices for those 2 models are. The reason we know what the prices are is because the VF8 and the VF9 are the first 2 Vinfast EVs that will be sold in the US. Apparently, they'll also come standard with level 2 plus autonomous driving features for the Eco and Plus trims, and levels 3 and 4 for the premium trims. Now, basically, Vinfast, by saying that, are claiming that if you buy the premium plus trim, will be fully autonomous. That's what level 4 driving is, essentially, basically, full autonomy. So, yeah, I don't think they understand what they're talking about by saying that, because clearly it won't be. Anyhow, the VF8, which is extremely similar in size to a Tesla Model Y, will start at 41,000 US dollars and 36,000 euros in Europe. sounds like a bargain. We'll get to that in a second. Now, the VF9 will cost $56,000 US in the US and $49,280 in Europe. Both these models will have a warranty of 10 years, first 200,000 kilometers or 124,000 miles. However, we now know that that isn't really the real price. Before I talk about that, let's just have a quick look at what the VF8 and the VF9 are. What do you actually get? What are the specs? Well, VF8 is 4,750 millimeters long. Pretty similar, like I said, to the Tesla Model Y. VF9 is quite a lot bigger. It's 5,120 millimeters long. That's about 201.6 inches. And it's a 7-seater. So it's a big car. Not quite as big as, say, a Toyota Land Cruiser, but not far off. Now, the VF8 has up to 292 miles of range, depending on which specification you buy. There's a couple of different options. Has up to 402 horsepower and also 457 pound-feet of torque. It'll do 0 to 60 miles an hour or 0 to 100 in 5.3 seconds. And it has dual motors. It's all-wheel drive. Now, the base model is a little bit slower, has a bit less power. It's got 348 horsepower. It'll do 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds. And it has a 15-inch screen, same size screen as a Tesla Model 3. Both models, in fact, for the VF8 have 15-inch screens. Let's get to the VF9. The VF9 has, well, two options, and then it's got battery options. These two are the Eco and the Plus. Now, the Eco comes with 19-inch wheels. The Plus comes with 20-inch wheels. Both of them come with 402 horsepower, and they both have the same size screen as the Tesla Model 3 as well, 15-inch. Performance for both of these models is 6.3 seconds, 0 to 60 miles an hour, or 0 to 100. Range is 272 miles. As a standard range, you can get an enhanced range model that has 369 miles of range. Now, that's the VF9. Well, range for the VF8 is 260 miles, and its enhanced range is 292 miles. So, range is okay, not bad. Obviously, the VF9, the enhanced range model, that's some seriously impressive range for a vehicle that big. Must be a really big battery pack for that option. Now, when these cars were officially announced in January, right, there was no mention of what they're saying they're doing now. So it was misleading because they gave prices at the time and everyone thought, wow, these prices are great, right? Which they sound great on the face of things. But now they've just announced they have a battery subscription model. You literally cannot buy one of these cars with a battery. You have to subscribe to the car. So Vinfast say that the battery subscription model will be mandatory for US customers through at least until the end of 2023. VF8 and the VF9 will come in two separate trims, plus two different battery pack options. On top of that, US customers will need to choose between another two different monthly battery subscriptions called flexible and fixed. If it sounds a bit confusing to you, that's because it is confusing. Now, the flexible rate is designed for EV drivers who don't travel very much. Their subscription gets them 310 miles of range per month, as in total. You can only drive 310 miles per month. And they're charged for every mile they're driven past that threshold. The fixed package offers unlimited mileage, but at nearly triple the monthly cost. According to Vinfast, customers who secure a reservation and a deposit for a VF8 or a VF9 this year with the fixed battery subscription will be locked in for the lifetime of the vehicle, even if it's transferred to a new owner. So the full pricing, right, before actually paying for the battery subscription is $40,700 for the VF8 Eco, right? But if you want the bigger battery, it's $41,000. Plus, you got to pay the subscription, which is $35 per month for the 310 miles, or $110 per month for the fixed option, right? So now you're looking at paying about $26 per week for the battery. However, if you get the flexible option, which only costs $35 a month, you then have to pay 11 cents for every single mile that you drive, which is above the 310 mile limit. Now I'll pause the video for a second so you can have a good look at this chart here from the electric, where it sums up everything, all the different options. You can see then if you go to the VF8 Plus, you pay $47,700. as a base price. If you want to get the bigger battery pack, it's $48,000. Then of course you've got to pay the subscription fees. Then of course you go across to the VF9. 272 mile option is $55,500 US. Of course, then in addition to that, you've got to pay the subscription fees. And then of course you can get the VF9 Plus, and there's the 2 battery options plus subscription fees, $61,000 US for that model. So the annual battery fee for the VF8 is $1,320 US, or for the VF9, it's $1,920 US. Now, after 2023, Vinfast have said they will adjust their subscription proportions so that 50% of the EV battery is for rent and 50% is for sale. I have no idea what that means, and I'm even more confused hearing that. You can reserve your VF8 or VF9 right now in the US, with orders apparently coming later on this year. Now, those vehicles, of course, will be manufactured in Vietnam. In the future, cars will be manufactured in the US. Well, that's what they say. They did say the same thing about Australia, so who knows what their real plans will be. Vinfast expect to begin production of their factory in North Carolina in 2024. So we'll wait and see if that happens. So what's my take on this? My take is this is a whole massive load of utter bollocks, baloney, garbage. It's ridiculous. It's so confusing. It's like walking into a bike shop and there's 100 freaking bikes and you have no idea which one to buy and you just don't know what to do. You're getting locked in for life. It's challenging to buy a new car in and of itself. It's a big purchase decision. It's something that a lot of human beings struggle with. It's a lot of money to lay down. But if you're actually combining making this big purchase decision with locking yourself in to paying these constant fees for the lifetime, that makes things much more confusing, especially when there's so many different options. Now, there's a really good comment that I saw on one of the forums. It said, good luck to them explaining all those battery options. If McDonald's had a menu like that, everyone would be thin. Personally, I think their business model is good for them, not good for you. Now, realistically, you'll pay an extra $19,000 over the first 10 years of ownership. Or if you own one of these cars for 20 years, that's nearly $40,000 US. That is ridiculous and way more money than is reasonable. It really doesn't make a lot of sense considering today, most EV batteries, 95% of them, have really good battery thermal management. The ones that aren't LFP, the ones that are LFP don't really need it. And battery degradation is so low these days that you're going to look at, but after 10 years of ownership, you're probably going to still have 80% of your battery left over in most cases. So really, this whole concept of subscribing to a battery, it just doesn't make sense. It might make sense in the case of, say, NIO, for example, where you can actually swap out that battery and get a new battery. And so you're getting an extra service, right? In China, NIO have more than 900 battery swapping stations, which is amazing. You drive in, right? You drive in, it's like a fast food drive-through. You're in there for 3 minutes. Within 3 minutes, you've got a new battery pack, which is fully charged and you're on your way. They're not offering that service. So I just don't get the advantage of getting this, of having this option. Obviously, the initial purchase price might appear to be a bit lower, but in the end, you pay a lot more. My advice is be very, very wary of locking yourself into something that you don't fully understand. Now, here's what a guy called Matthew said. I was looking at the VF9, which I ordered, and the annual flexible fee of $1,920. The 15 cents per mile is just hilarious. Fuel costs of my Model 3 are 0.025 cents per mile. Right now, including actual depreciation, all paid for maintenance, and my actual mileage after 4 years, the cost per mile for my Model 3, total including purchase price minus resale value, is under 20 cents per mile. That's with full self-driving package. This VinFast tax is insane and doesn't make sense. So I don't know if I'm reading this right, but from what I'm seeing here from the electric, it appears as though you actually have to pay the annual battery fee plus the monthly battery fee. And if that is the case, then this is literally thousands and thousands of dollars. And if people fall for this, which I'm sure they will, then honestly, I genuinely feel sorry for them. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. Is this crazy or am I crazy? Bye-bye.